Good morning, I'm Chris Thomas. We are following breaking news impacting people across Northern California. The Kincaid Fire is still burning in Sonoma County. Hundreds of thousands of people are in the dark, many for the fourth night in a row. Keep in mind, PG&E turned off power because of fire danger. In Sacramento, a hostage situation that locked down an Oak Park neighborhood for hours today may be coming to an end soon. There is a lot to cover. That is why we are live tonight at 1 a.m. in the morning. If you have questions, let us know, but take a look. We have new information on the Kincaid Fire burning in Sonoma County. Firefighters are working hard tonight to keep it from spreading. It's already burned more than 76,000 acres. That is bigger than the city of Sacramento. 189 buildings have burned, including 86 homes, and the fire is only 15% contained. Thousands of people have been forced to evacuate, and 80,000 homes are threatened by this fire. Now, take a look. It has started to pick up again in the last few hours. This is a time lapse of the flames. You can see the white light there. That's where the flames are. I want to stay on this for just a moment because this is what firefighters are facing tonight, and this is why we are bringing you live team coverage. ABC 10's Ananda Rochita is live tonight near Calistoga. That is one of the many communities firefighters are concerned about as the winds pick up. Ananda, how are things now?
Well, you can probably see it's a little bit windy, but I just want to paint the picture and let you see what it looks like around me. So I am on 128. I'm about northwest of Calistoga. I'm a few miles away from Soda Rock Winery, which is completely destroyed. And nearly both sides of the road, you can see it just completely charred. And if we lift the camera up here, you can see over there, it's a little bit more pronounced when it gets windy, but you see that's where the fire is very active tonight. North of Calistoga, you can see that orange glow. We've been out here at this spot for the past 2 hours, and we've been seeing it come a little bit down, but it's mostly been up there. Now, 5,000 firefighters are out here. Sac Metro Fire is helping fight the Kincaid Fire, and today they were told to protect Calistoga if the fire continued to spread. Now, they went through the area to make sure they knew the landscape in case the fire crossed over. The good news today is that the winds were more calm to get more of a handle on this fire. However, as you probably can see from me, and that's really not the case now because of all the winds. Now, as we were going through 128 from Calistoga toward Geyserville, we found a few areas where firefighters were putting out hotspots, but most of them are just on standby, posted for the high winds expected tonight.
Fortunately, our strike team of 5 engines was able, and 22 guys, was able to mitigate the structure threat and protect those structures. We also protected livestock, we protected outbuildings, and it was actually a very fulfilling and successful mission because that's what we train to do. We train to protect the public.
You know, Chris, can you believe that they're actually working 24-hour shifts? So right when I interviewed them about like 8 o'clock, they got the call from the commander and were told that they are on standby and to go back to Santa Rosa and just to rest. However, be on standby just in case the winds get a little bit crazy up here in the mountains. But just kind of going back there, I don't know if you could really see it because the winds have been kind of on and off, but it seemed like the fire is moving more north. But there is that orange glow, and it's been kind of scary to see. Just a few steps down from where I am, we really wanted to show you, but it got a little dangerous. There was this fire that was burning from the inside out, and the embers were kind of just flying everywhere to the point that we got some video and went to this location because it was a little bit more safe. But you could probably, I don't know if there's a good example, but just the winds are just so strong out here, which is making it hard for me to breathe. That's why I'm wearing my mask. So hopefully you can hear me, but just the winds, Chris, it's kind of scary to see because we're seeing some of the hot spots and some of them start to flare up as we were driving down here on 128.
Ananda, we can hear that wind, and your mic now, it has picked up in just the time that you have been giving your live report to us. I know you had a chance to go out with Sac Metro firefighters today who have been there helping crews. Talk to us about how our crews are dealing with these conditions. As you said, they're working these 24-hour shifts. They've been fighting this thing for days now. How are the men and women there on the ground?
You know, I had to ask them that because I couldn't imagine working a 24-hour shift. I think I'm on hour 13 or 14 and I'm absolutely exhausted. So I'm like, what motivates you? How do you keep pushing? And they told me one of the cases, and one of the reasons why. So they were over in Windsor maybe just about 2 days ago, and they were able to save a house, save some livestock. You heard him talk about it. And he said that is what pushes them, being able to save people. And that creates that adrenaline inside them to keep pushing along. Chris?
All right, Ananda Rochita, they're live. You be safe. Ananda will come back as things merit. She is there near Calistoga. Want to get over to Rob now because, Rob, we can hear those winds picking up in her microphone.
You know, I think that live shot was really the perfect example, Chris, of how this changes, you know, minute by minute, let alone hour by hour, that we are generally moving to a better place, especially once we get past sunset. But as we just saw, the winds are calm, things are getting better. The fire's moving north, not south, so there's some erratic wind changes and also fire growth and direction. But then the wind picks back up. So until we really start to see major changes in the wind pattern and the pressure differences, which is where we get the wind, we're really not in the clear. Although we are definitely hour by hour moving to a better place. So this is roughly where Ananda is in the Calistoga area. That's the fire off to the north. You can see in that general area, we are seeing some gusty winds. The strongest winds still off to the north there, 40 miles an hour within the last hour, 34-mile-an-hour gusts. We also have to include that the fire risk is, broadly speaking, basically all of Northern California, because we are seeing these pockets. They're the favorite spots. They're the canyons, the passes, the ridge tops, the mountain tops. Mount Diablo, 47-mile-an-hour wind gusts within the last hour. The valley, we're basically in the clear for the valley. Mostly calm and quiet. Major point of frustration throughout all of these fire events is that we don't see the strong winds in places like Placerville or Auburn or Grass Valley, Nevada City, but then just up the hill, so to speak, for some of these canyons where these transmission lines are coming out of these dams and these hydropower projects, we're still seeing some strong wind gusts. Now, 35 miles an hour is strong. You know, a couple days ago, we were looking at 40, 50 miles an hour. So this event was never expected to be the same kind of thing that we went through on Sunday, but definitely enough where there's cause for concern and to sort of keep some of the same protocols in place. As far as what we're looking at now, you can see some wind gusts in the 20, 30, 40 mile an hour range, but in general, we're starting to see the winds calm down. A couple extra things. We've seen, once the sun went down, we saw that flare up. We saw smoke basically confined to some areas, and then you can see that huge flare up of smoke once we moved into the overnight hours. And then again, just a couple days, this fire's grown quickly. And the next stop, and the reason why there's so much concern is that there's one thing when a fire is burning in a rural area and it's starting to move through some semi-rural areas, wineries where there's mostly land, mostly vegetation with a few structures. Once it gets into Santa Rosa, Windsor, that's straight up suburbia. That's the Coffee Park situation we saw a couple years ago, and that's what they're trying to prevent. So let's talk about the risk now and where it's going, because I have to say this is a California fire weather event. Northern California, through the overnight hours, high cause of concern. This is the combination of dry air and wind. Now we get to 8 a.m., things are starting to get better, but now all of the wind and the super concern, 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour with single digit, all the way down to 1% humidity, that's going to Southern California for tomorrow. Here's the best thing that I can show you before I go back to you, Chris, is that this is where we are at the moment. Still some 40 mile an hour wind gusts left, some potential next couple hours. By the time we get to sunrise, there's way less of that. And then we get into the afternoon and we're basically done. Now, technically, this goes until 4 p.m. later on tonight or tomorrow, or, you know, again, once you go from midnight to 1 a.m., you kind of get confused about what day it is. But you get what I'm saying. Later on today, later on Wednesday toward 4 p.m., which is today, we see the winds calming down and we're basically done. And the best part in all of this is I do not see anything past this red flag warning 4 p.m. I don't see anything in the cards for a long time. So yes, we have fire weather right now. It's moving to Southern California later on today. I think they're going to see a crazy event. It's going to be absolutely dicey. But past this, I don't see anything in the cards. However, I also don't see any rain as well, Chris.
Okay. Again, we thank you all for joining us live here. Elaine, yes, we are live at 1 a.m. I'm getting some of your comments. Cody, we thank you so much for watching. I want to get now to the PG&E power shutoffs if we can. 540,000 customers are in the dark tonight, and for many of them, it is the fourth night in a row. I want to show you a look at this. We have a map, if we can, that kind of shows people the purple dots. Those dots show where they have turned off power to prevent fires. The company says the all clear could come as soon as tomorrow morning, and they could turn the power back on soon after that. But many schools are still planning to be closed tomorrow. We have a full list of those schools on abc10.com. Keep in mind, PG&E has never done this before, turned off power for so many people so many times. The company says this is all about safety.
We want the shutoffs to end as badly as anybody. But when the choice comes down to safety or something else, we're going to choose safety.
Well, many people are not happy, as you can imagine, but listen to this. PG&E is now promising to give some kind of compensation to customers who lost power in the first big power shutoff. It happened on October 9th. Governor Gavin Newsom has been pushing them for weeks to give people their money back. Today, the company CEO said because of the website and communication issues, they think it's a good idea.
Some of the things we did in that didn't go very well, our website, all those issues, and we thought this was probably a pretty good idea to show a little recognition to our customers that some of those things didn't go right. So what we told the governor and his folks today is that we agree with his suggestion. As to how that gets done, the mechanics, I don't know the answer to that. We'll be getting around to that after this event.
Just to be clear, PG&E is not promising compensation for every shutoff, just the first one this month. Of course, stay with us for updates on this developing story. Meanwhile, I want to get back over to Rob because he is tracking the fire danger even as we speak.
Okay, Chris, this is really the moment. So now that we're starting to move away from this, and let me be clear again, we are not done with the fire weather through the rest of the overnight hours. Once the sun comes up, it gets better and better and better, not worse. But this is really what everybody wants to know. I get this question continuously now, and we want to know when the rain's going to show up, because look, we're almost into Halloween. Usually at some point we've had some big storm with an inch or two of rain, and it just hasn't happened yet. So where is it? So let's talk near term. This is not good. This is not unexpected. We are pretty good within 2 to 3 days out, very accurate, and you can see here we've got no chance for any rain whatsoever. Now, with that said, is there anything down the road? Unfortunately, I see not only no rain, I see a drier than normal pattern, meaning that there's nothing even close to us. And this is my concern. If it was just dry in Northern California, that'd be one thing. But you can see a pattern here. From Washington State to Southern California, nothing is going to even get close within the next week or two. And that is a major sign of concern, because what I see is no fire weather coming back. But you know what? On any given day with the vegetation as dry as it is, maybe we don't have red flag warning conditions, but there might be some spot fire in a field near somebody's home, and that may cause some issues in the days and maybe even weeks ahead. Chris?
Something to keep in mind. We do thank you all for joining us for our live team coverage tonight. I'm seeing many of your comments, many people saying that they have not had power since Saturday. William saying his power has been out since Saturday and that he's tired of it. We certainly understand. William, that's why we are here for you tonight, wanting to try to give you as many updates as we can. Take a look. We are going to be updating the ABC 10 app with the latest information 24/7. You can download it for free in the App Store for updates on air and online at abc10.com. And now to breaking news in Sacramento. A SWAT standoff locked down this Oak Park neighborhood for hours today. A 13-year-old was taken hostage. ABC 10's Kevin John is live in Oak Park tonight. And Kevin, bring us up to speed. We were hearing that police were feeling that they were making some progress.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Chris. I do want to say that it's still a very active situation going on behind me right now. But yes, in regards to that progress, we did hear unconfirmed reports that a few hostages have been let go. But I haven't been able to confirm that with the SAC Sheriff PIO Tess Dieterling. But while I'm talking about her, she actually just texted me about 15 minutes ago. I want to read to you the text that she sent me. She said, quote, "We are still working on making progress with him." So while she has not yet confirmed to me that all the hostages have been let go, she has confirmed that they are making progress with the suspect inside of there. We've heard things that he was asking for gummy worms and other things that he was looking for in regards to the negotiation. So we do understand that police are there on the scene negotiating with the suspect, and they're doing their best to try to resolve this situation in a peaceful way. Because remember, there are children involved in there. There was a 13-year-old girl that the male suspect had brought in there. So, you know, of course, everyone just wants this to end in an extremely peaceful way. So we're still determining and finding information at this time.
Kevin, talk to us about the timeline. I know that this all started as a domestic incident, right, around 10:30 this morning.
That is correct, Chris. It was around 10:30 this morning when the police received a phone call in regards to a domestic dispute. They obviously dispatched officers to that location. Shortly after that, there was a police pursuit, a vehicle pursuit that ensued after that. And then somewhere later in the afternoon, early evening, that's when the male suspect, who was armed with the gun at the time, took the 13-year-old girl into this house behind me there. Now, I do want to make it clear, and the Sac Sheriff PIO did confirm this with me, they do not know who the house belongs to at this time. It was just a house that's there. There are multiple people inside the house. We do know that, but this is something that started earlier today, and it's still, at this point, still going on in a very active situation.
Okay, we have questions on social media. They are saying that it looks dark out there, but the power is on in that neighborhood, from my understanding, Kevin. The other question is, talk about, I know that there is a high school nearby, right? Do we know if school is going to be impacted in the morning?
That is a very good question. That was one of the questions that I did ask the Sac Sheriff PIO, Tess Dieterle, and at this time she told me it is, quote, unknown if any schools will be delayed or shut down tomorrow as a result of this. You know, obviously that all depends on how long the situation goes into the morning. You know, if this is something to where at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, it's still an active situation, obviously they will have to, use discretion on whether or not schools will be opening in the area, but that has not been confirmed yet at this time, Chris.
Okay, our Kevin John, we thank you for that live update. We are following multiple breaking stories tonight. If you are just joining us, firefighters are working hard to keep the Kincade fire from spreading in Sonoma County. It's already burned more than 76,000 acres. That is bigger than the city of Sacramento. I think this is a live look at the fire. Even as we speak, you kind of see that orange glow there in the distance. 189 buildings have burned, including 86 homes. And the fire, listen to this, only 15% contained. Thousands of people have been forced to evacuate, and 80,000 homes are threatened by this fire. The winds are picking up tonight, but Rob, they will be slowing down soon, right?
You know, I'm seeing that moment right now. Within the last couple hours, I really am seeing the tide change here. So again, that orange glow off in the distance, and there's still some concern. We've seen some recent wind gusts. We saw a nod at the top of this with some gusty, erratic winds at times. But let me take you through the next couple of hours, because I really think you're going to notice a change. What you're looking at here are the winds in general. 10, 20 miles an hour, just sustained. That means that's the average wind speed. And then some of the wind gusts. West side of the valley, out where the Kincaid Fire is in the coastal range there, almost to the coast. And then still some erratic wind gusts up toward the Sierra. And I just saw a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust or so in the Feather River Canyon north of Oroville. So we're still seeing it at the moment. Let that be said. We're not done. We're still seeing it in those spots. Not for the valley, definitely not for Auburn, Placerville, and Jackson and some of those spots. Lower foothills, not happening. But in some of those favored wind spots, yes. So let's fast forward to the early morning hours. What's going to happen? 6 a.m., sun's starting to come up. Still some leftover wind gusts, but you see how that area is starting to shrink. And then once we get into tomorrow afternoon, I would say by noon and definitely past that, we may see some occasional gusts, and it's still going to be dry. But overall, clearly, by later on today, we are going to be in a much better spot. So while I do see some moments for the next several hours and definitely until sunrise, once we get past sunrise, things get much, much better. The best news that I can tell you about all of this is looking ahead for Thursday, Friday, the weekend. What about all of next week? I do not see the winds coming back. I see moments of dryness, but the wind's not going to be there. Unfortunately, though, Chris, I do not see any rain as well.
That is something that we have to keep in mind. If you are just joining us, we have live team coverage as so many people are still dealing with these outages. I want to thank Matt and Patty and Luetta and William, Elder, all of the folks who are joining us here online, giving us their updates, as there are some who say they have not had power since Saturday. Keep in mind, hundreds of thousands of PG&E customers are in the dark again tonight. This is the 4th power shutoff this month. A lot of people have been without power, as I said, since Saturday. because these shutoffs are so close together. The purple dots here on this map show where the power is out because of the high fire danger that Rob has been telling us about. The all clear could come later this morning, but then crews still have to go out, inspect the lines, and repair any damage. And PG&E has already found more than 120 places where power lines were damaged because of the high winds this weekend. They are expecting to find even more damage tomorrow. Meanwhile, in Sacramento, a hostage situation is still unfolding inside a home in Oak Park. You see still a very active scene even here now at 1:21 a.m. in the morning. We know a suspect has taken a 13-year-old hostage, and there are several other people inside the home. We heard from our Kevin John that that suspect was asking for things like gummy worms and things of that nature. The neighbors have been evacuated for hours as police try to end this peacefully. Officers tell me they are prepared for this thing to go all night long. Now, there is a school nearby, Christian Brothers High School. We are not sure if school will be impacted tomorrow, but you can bet that we have a crew in place and that they will be providing us updates. So stay with us for updates on air and online at abc10.com. Rob, what would you say we need to keep in mind? Because I know you're going to be preparing for the morning blend at 4:30 a.m.
Well, we're still not done. You know, even from that live shot, which is a different story, you guys see the caution tape moving around. So we're right in the middle of this, but there's an end to this. There's always an end to these events. And the best news I can tell you is that once we get to sunrise and then later on this afternoon, I think that's it. Maybe for a week or maybe for the rest of the season.
We certainly hope that is the case. We thank you all for joining us. Please be safe out there, and we'll see you on the morning blend at 4:30 a.m.